We begin this wonderful day with our first session, Global Warming, What Next? May-Elin Stener in conversation with Roxy Mathew. May-Elin Stener is currently Ambassador of Norway to India and Sri Lanka. Her areas of focus include humanitarian affairs, peace and reconciliation. Dr. Roxy Mathew Koll is a climate scientist at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, who is ranked among the top 2% of scientists by Stanford University. He received the Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar, the highest recognition in the field of science, technology and innovation in India from the President in 2024. I once again welcome our esteemed guests and everyone gathered to stage VAYANA, powered by Pachakudara. Thank you.
A great morning to all of you from both of us, May-Elin and Roxy. It's a wonderful morning. It's winter, but it's still hot over here, right? I was looking at the temperatures. It's like going up to 32 degrees Celsius or more in winter time in Kerala. We all feel the pinch of global warming, whether it is at Norway or in India, in Kerala. What do we do about it? Recently we heard the current US President Trump backing off from the Paris Agreement. So we see that the globe is not sticking together at times, at challenging times where climate change and global warming is going at a fast pace. What do we do next? And I'm a climate scientist myself. I can talk more about the science part of it, but she is a policymaker. She is an ambassador of Norway. She can talk more about the policy side. What do we do next? On to you.
Good morning, everyone. Let me just also start by saying how much of a privilege I think it is to be here this morning, looking out on the ocean while talking. This is the first time I am here at the Kerala Literature Festival, but also the first time that Norway is taking officially part. We think this is really great, that's a good start of a new or renewed relationship with Kerala as well. And also, since I became ambassador to India in 2023, it's 18 months ago now, I've really been so pleased to see how much climate action has been a topic. It has been discussed in the public all over, and it is also a priority for Norway here in India. We're discussing it with different Indian stakeholders, and I've seen really many good initiatives during these 18 months, and there is a lot to talk about, so I'm really looking forward to this talk. I don't know, Roxy, if you want me to continue or if you also want to say something more.
Can you? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So you have an experience from Norway on what climate change is like in your place, and then you came to India and you have been traveling all around India, not only in Delhi but all across India. So how similar it is in these two countries in some cases, and how different it is in these two places. For example, if I think about it, the similarity comes in things like sea level rise. Yeah, this is something which, whether it's a high latitude country like Norway or a tropical country like India, we face similar issues. But maybe our response is different. How the people affected are different, right? So I would like to hear if there are similar examples of, either it is so similar or so different. And how did you get through the hot conditions in India?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I would just start by saying that sometimes I just think there are not two more different countries than Norway and India. We are few people up in the north, and you are a lot of people here. It's 32 degrees here, and now it's 23rd of January. Some places in Norway it might be 32 degrees minus. So I don't know right now, but in January that happens.
I can guess.
So we are very different countries, but climate change is affecting us all.
All of us.
It's affecting Norway. It's affecting India. And I would like to tell that story about this archipelago, this group of islands called Svalbard, which is part of Norway, but it's in the Arctic. And it's a very sad story in many ways, because there we see climate change happening with the open eyes, and the ice melting is happening. There you see like the climate change and the rise of temperature is happening 5 to 7 times faster than other places at the planet. Those who are living in the main city of Svalbard, Longyearbyen, they are now seeing summers where there is no coverage of snow, which did not happen only 15 years ago. So that is something we feel and see very, very, very well. Some people in Norway would say, "Oh, it's good with rising temperature because it's so cold here anyway."
Right.
But of course, it is not good, because what is happening in the Arctic is affecting us all. It's affecting also people here in India. And when I visited Svalbard last it's almost 2 years ago now, I saw Indian researchers up there. They are studying how does the ice melting in the Arctic affect the monsoons here in India, and they do affect. And that we also see. You are Indians, you can talk more about the effects here in India, but we see floods, we see the sea rising, we see rising temperature, and all those that are having a dire effect, and it's having you feel the effect even more than we do, and the normal people, farmers, fishers, feel the effect here in India stronger than we do.
It shows how we all are connected and how we need to work together. And this is true. So I have my own colleagues who has been working with Norwegian centers like the Nansen Center, who had shown that the changes in the Arctic also affect the monsoon, like what you said. And I would like to point out some differences in climate change on how it is affecting the tropical belt more in some ways. For example, we talk about sea level rise. And many people think, okay, sea level rise is due to Arctic sea ice melting in the Arctic and all, and also the glaciers in the Himalayas, which is true. But over this area, there's one more effect. 93% of the heat from global warming actually goes into the oceans. The ocean that you see here, over here, because ocean has a specific heat capacity to absorb more and more heat. Yeah. So because of that property, the Indian Ocean is warming at a very fast rate. Yeah. And so we need to think that the average depth of this ocean is around 4 kilometers. So as this entire water column warms up, it expands. So that also adds to that sea level rise. So in addition, we see there is a lot of warming in the tropical belt. Tropics are already a lot warm, and warmer air holds more moisture. So if you stand outside, you will feel not only the heat, but the humidity also. Yeah. So this supercharges extreme weather events like monsoon extreme rains, tropical cyclones, and storm surges that comes with the tropical cyclones, which a place like Calicut might be affected with. Yeah. So the one difference between the higher latitude and the lower latitude is that the the warmer temperatures make shorter, faster developing weather systems. So the predictability is low. So forecast models, if you compare to the higher latitudes, where the weather is a bit more slow developing larger systems, the predictability is faster, predictability is better. Yeah. So it makes it more challenging over the tropical belt to adapt or quickly respond to extreme weather events. Yeah. So these are some similarities and differences that we saw. And maybe it is the right time to talk about how do we go about it? What solutions do we work on? And there are two ways. One is through climate mitigation, which means reducing the fossil fuel emissions, which trap the additional solar energy and heat the climate system. The second thing is adaptation. Okay, this is happening. We do something about it. Maybe we raise our level so that the water doesn't come to us and things like that. So mitigation and adaptation. And I know that Ambassador Stener has been at least talking about green energy, on how Norway has technologies which could help in transforming rest of the globe as well. I would like to hear more about that and what policies can help in terms of climate mitigation. And then I will talk about climate adaptation.
Well, it's also, as I said when starting, that it's been striking to me since I came to India 18 months ago, how much of part this is of the debate, of the public debate, and how much action is actually being taken. India is one of those countries being hugely affected by climate change and will be even more so in the future, and particularly if we're not going to stop the change very soon, which we do have to through international mechanism. We all have to be in that together, but I can come back to that. In terms of Norway and India, this is a focus of the cooperation that we are having. Norway has... Did it disappear? Norway, yes, yeah. Norway has a strategy for our work in India towards 2030, and three very important priorities in that strategy. The first one is climate action directly, but the two others are also very closely linked. It's to do with the green energy, as you mentioned, and also with the maritime industry. So we are working with India to see, as an energy superpower, which Norway has been, we are now the biggest deliverer of energy to the rest of Europe through... Yes. We have a history in oil and gas. We are still producing oil and gas, but we also see that it's very important to transform to green energy. For example, we are building big offshore wind plants in the North Sea, and there we are using exactly the same technology as we did for the oil platforms. So that's why we have a history that we can use for this transformation from fossil fuel to green energy, wind and solar. And that technology we are working with India to take also here. There are many Norwegian companies who are interested in this and interested in developing solutions for India. And what we see here in India that we cannot do in Norway is to take this up to a much bigger level, because we are so small and so few people, you are so many, and it's a possibility for scaling up here that is nowhere else basically. And so this we do quite a lot with India on the business side, and it's one very important pillar. Also, let me mention before I give the floor back to Roxy, that also in the maritime sector, we're looking at how can we make the ferries, the big boats out there, more environmental friendly, so that they are not destroying the ocean with the oil, with whatever they are going on. We are looking at, for example, having more electric ferries. And down here in Cochin, at the shipyard, they are actually building even electric ferries for the fjords in Norway.
I think, can you hear us? Yeah. Sometimes it's not clear. Yeah. So I think we need that cooperation on the energy sector, because I remember that last 2 years, by the end of the year, India was actually importing coal, more coal than producing. Of course, India opened up not many coal mines in the recent period, but also importing more coal as well, because the energy demands are going up. There's a lot of, India is the third largest user for electricity compared to all other countries. So we definitely need to work on transitioning to that green energy as soon as possible, and transformation of technology between high-income countries and countries like India, where the population is booming. I think that is one priority. The other thing which I would like to emphasize here is climate adaptation, which is very often overlooked as an action measure. So a lot of funds are being pumped up by the government as well, India government as well. And a lot of startup companies have turned up in India working on the climate sphere. But most of them are focusing on climate mitigation, reducing emissions, capturing carbon from the atmosphere and all. But this is a quite long process. The way the carbon emissions have gone up, so there is one property of carbon dioxide. Its lifespan is long. It's hundreds to thousands of years. So even if we stop all energy used right now, our phones, our light, cameras, everything, our industries, our cars, everything, the ferries, everything, still the carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas that we produced until now, will remain in the air for the next hundreds to thousands of years, because it's a slowly dissipating element. So, and globally, nations have not come to that binding agreement on that we will reduce the carbon emissions. Yeah, and whatever commitments have been made so far are not sufficient enough to keep that global warming below that 1.5 degrees Celsius or even 2 degrees Celsius by 2050, which means that if we wait for the global nations to act, our houses, our lives may be gone. So we need to also work on the adaptation levels, but that needs local assessment. For example, a place like Kozhikode and a place like Kochi or Mumbai may have totally different climate impacts. One may be faced with a lot of coastal erosion, extreme rains. The other region may be faced with other kind of impacts. And we can work on those impacts, but we need to assess locally, maybe at a district level or at a village level. Understand the climate challenges and work out the policies for that region. That's a possibility that I'm talking about. I'll give an example from my own research. So just today, if you look at the Madhubhumi newspaper today, it shows a research outcome from our team. So we prepared an early warning system for dengue. Dengue is a climate sensitive disease. It works on the rainfall cycle. Yeah. And if you have the health data for a particular region, we can clearly make a model that can predict dengue incidences. Yeah. Which will give a 2-month advance prediction period for taking precautions. But this needs region-specific data. And many times, health administrations were reluctant to share that data with us. So we did that for Pune, where I'm working, where the health department cooperated with us, shared the health data. We have the climate data for across India at a very high resolution. So we asked the Kerala Health Department also, but we haven't received that kind of cooperation to work on a model which can be used for predictions, dengue predictions for Kerala. We can use that for any climate sensitive diseases like that, for chikungunya, malaria, and so on. So which means that we all need to work together. Different departments need to work together to address these climatic challenges. Yeah, that's my opinion, my recommendation. And I think we are on time to take some questions from the audience. No? 5 more minutes. Yeah. Would you like to continue on that? Yeah.
Yes, Roxy, very much. I would like that also just to support what you are saying. If we are going to stop the global warming, and if we are going to stop the climate change in the direction that we are seeing, we have to look at a variety of actions, and also the adaptation is an important part of that, along with the emission reduction. And looking at the harmful consequences, so that's very, very important. I'm also thinking about this very good project that I saw in Odisha, and it's a cooperation between a couple of Norwegian research institutions and research institutions in Odisha and Assam, and they are there helping the farmers to have a more climate smart agriculture, and to see, not using the pesticides, and to see at which part of the season is it right to do this and that, and which stages. They had developed an app where they could actually see what is happening, when is the rain coming, and these kind of measures. And it's an easy, practical way of dealing with the problem and making these farmers also doing their farming in the climate smart way. I think that is also one, along with your dengue and malaria, that those are the series of issues that we have to look at. But let me also, since you introduced me also as a policy maker, being government, of course I'm part of it. Also I would like to say that internationally it's so important that everyone concentrates now on this problem, and that we are united. It's a bit of gloomy days. Just 2 days ago, it was announced that the US are withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, and from Norway's perspective, we really think that's a big setback. But on the other hand, I would like to say that except for the US, who are still staying in the treaty for about a year, there are only 3 more countries who are not part of the treaty. Everyone is, and we have not heard any country after Monday either, who would like to withdraw from the treaty. So we have to concentrate on the negotiations we're having, and what do we need to do, and how do we need to support each other in this work. And it's affecting all of us all over the world, so we have to stand united to do this together.
I agree with that. I think we have 1 more minute, so I will just conclude with a beautiful example from my hometown. So I am from Central Kerala, Kottayam, and at the high ranges of Kottayam, close to Idukki, there are some communities who started taking measurements of rain. and along with the schools and all. So now we are building a concept called climate equipped schools. Yeah, I can elaborate more on that later. But what happened is in 2018 floods, some of them were measuring rainfall in a makeshift rain gauge. Sorry. They saw that one night it rained extremely heavy. They understood that downstream it will flood in a few hours. They alerted downstream. There was a colony of 70 families downstream, which is like 50 kilometers away. They warned them, but they were not ready to move because when they saw the river was not flooding, it was not swelling. But with the help of data and authorities, with the push, they were evacuated. And in 2-3 hours, that area was wiped out. So this story shows that, with basic understanding or monitoring of the weather and climate system, with basic functionalities, you can actually save lives. Yeah. So we are trying to bring out this model by empowering communities to monitor, understand the weather and climate system, and also make those solutions for a brighter future. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thanks from myself and yeah.